pirate. The other is crazy. So you better warp to the safe spot!
Welcome back, Capsuleer, let's go.
Warp to the safe spot! Warp to the safe spot!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Safe Spot. I'm your host, Rixx Javix, and with me tonight is my co-host and my favorite Canadian,
CrazyKinux. Glad to be here. So excited about this episode.
Yeah, this night's is I wouldn't call it a special episode because is coming up on our 2 weeks, but it is kind of a special episode because we're going to be talking exclusively about Fanfest 2026 that just wrapped up yesterday, and this will be coming out on Tuesday. So this is our reaction podcast to Fanfest 2026 from Fenris Creations. How about that? We got to get really used to saying that. It's really hard.
Yeah, or we're gonna do like they did where every time they mention CCP, they took
We have
a
to take
shot.
a drink.
Yeah. I'm drinking coffee for this one. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Coke. I have Coke. Not cocaine. Coca-Cola. A nice cold Coca-Cola in my throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm losing my voice. I haven't really spoken that much today, but
It's the excitement. Because I want to go. I want to go straight to the big thing here. I mean, we could review everything that was said, and we will sort of talk about it, of course, the big picture and some of the details that came out of Fanfest. But man, I just want to say again, I've been saying it since the news came out. Congrats on this Polaris award for sort of. I'm going to say. Did they mention like lifetime contribution to the game?
They said,
like that?
Yeah, I think lifetime contribution is what I've been calling it. Because he said it's not a Hall of Fame, it's not a lifetime achievement. You know, it's more of just a recognition of a lifetime of 20 years of hard work and dedication, I guess, or insanity, really.
That's crazy. So, how weird is it that you've skipped? This was the first FanFest that you skipped since 2014.
Yeah.
And they hand you a Polaris award. I mean,
Well, I'm not there.
While you're not there. Exactly. So walk me through when you learned.
Yeah, what a strange lead up to it. It was announced in March, the award, the nomination. And, we talked about it at the time. It was a little odd.
Posted about it.
Yeah, you wrote a very passionate post, which I greatly appreciated.
You're here.
And I heard from a lot of people who were feeling the same way, like, whoa, what? It was just like, what? And like I said today in my blog post about it, is you can't complain. Everybody that was nominated is certainly worthy of being nominated. They're all great people. I know almost all of them. Some of those projects I helped them with, or design logos, or did stuff.
Great creators, but
you can't complain about it.
No,
I
absolutely.
want to sound like Trump trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize, but it was confusing. 41 nominees, and so like, am I 42? Maybe that's fair.
That's crazy.
It just made me wonder. And you wrote your piece about it, and other people had things to say, and that was all really appreciated. And I kind of just put it in my back pocket after that. And
yeah, well, I mean, it was just weird that there was so many categories where you could have or should have been one of the nominee, and lo and behold, your name was nowhere to be seen. So that was sort of weird.
Well, there was a little confusion about it too at the beginning, because I know that a few people were really doing a lot to promote themselves and ask people to vote for them. And then nothing against that, but in the thing is, it said nominations. So there was some confusion. Was this just a nomination thing, or was this a popularity thing, where the more nominations you got, the more likely you were? So then I thought, well, maybe I just didn't get a lot of nominations, and because there was a little bit of confusion about how the process worked, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, it was a first time award, and I mean, it's just mind-boggling that it took so long for CCP slash Fenris to sort of come up with these awards.
That's a great idea. I like it. I fully support the idea. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not going to complain any more than that.
No complaints. But it was
So
weird, and so it was in my back pocket. I, didn't really think about it a whole lot, honestly. So a day before FanFest, I get a DM from Convict saying, "Hey, Rixx, I'm sorry to hear that you're not coming to FanFest this year." And I was like, "Yeah, we've been every year since 2014, and on the world tour, and on the cruise and all that. Done a lot, and we just kind of needed a break, and."
sure.
It just kind of honestly felt like we were just there last year. That went by so fast. I'm like, yeah, we're just not going to be there this year, and we needed to skip one. He's like, oh, he goes, well, I'm sorry to hear that. He goes, but if I were you, I would tune in to the stream. Are you going to watch it on stream? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, if I were you, I would definitely be there at 1900 on Saturday for the Creator Awards. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I can't say anymore, and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I was actually going to watch, but I will now for sure. And then
What was your immediate reaction when that happened? I mean, you went from
what
not
are they
expecting
doing?
anything to
What's going on?
Or
I talked about it with my wife, and she's like, well, maybe there's a nomination for, like, maybe there's like 5 people up for some kind of special award at the end, and they're going to, put up the nominations, and you're like one of them. Then somebody else will win. Could have been any number of things, right? And then on Friday, we were watching the opening ceremony, and Orca mentioned there was going to be something called the Polaris Award, and then didn't really say anything else about it. So that got my brain going too. So that was a whole day of around and wallowing in my anxieties, right? And yeah, it was not great. Like I said, it's funny because that I'm the only person that's ever going to have to go through that process, because from now on, everyone's going to know there's a special award at the end, right? So I'm the only one who didn't know because they'd never done it before. So I had to wallow in my own anxieties, which is kind of appropriate, I think, given the journey that this last 18 years has been like. So kind of appropriate. No, it was awesome. I was very
entertaining, yeah. And at least the fact that it was really fun to watch FC Convict through the ceremonies, and
he was great.
He did the CCP good. Drops, and take a shot when I don't know who walked on stage with a bottle of what's that? Was that the typical like Icelandic?
It's vodka,
beverage? Yeah. And anyways, that was
really good.
A hell of a show. Very, very entertaining. And then they went through all 8 categories, and then boom, announced you, and as well as Timbre, like Calorie Prime Pony Club.
Oh, definitely well deserved too.
Absolutely. It's funny that it's the visuals that sort of got the first 2 Polaris Awards.
Yeah, it was unusual. It was one of the first things that caught me when it first came out, and the categories. So there was third-party developers and written content and all that, but there was nothing for visuals. We have a lot of artists and a lot of designers in this community, and there was nothing in the categories that represented the visual arts. So that was one of my very first reactions to the categories way back at the beginning. But no, Timbre definitely well deserved. He's awesome, and definitely had a lot to do with getting everybody excited about the possibilities of scanning your own ships and doing that. And he's been, he's been through a lot, personally, and I know about a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure I don't know everything, of course, but we talked a lot, especially back in the early days with the Eve Designer platform that he put together, and oh my gosh, and just so everybody knows too, that way back in 2014, 2013, when I'm starting to work on spaceship illustrations, that whole system that he built really, really helped me a lot. And actually, if you go back and watch the fan art presentation that I did in 2015, I do a very special call out to him and to Jeremy, Project Jeremy, in my presentation, because it was an invaluable tool. It was a web-based thing where you could just call up a spaceship in Eve, and it would come out in 3D on your screen, and you could rotate it and move it and angle it and do all the things that you wanted to it right there on your computer screen. and it really helped me get angles and see all the details and everything for the art that I was doing. An invaluable tool for that.
Wow. So we'll make sure to dig up that link. I'm guessing it's on your YouTube channel.
It is. It's linked to it. It's on the EVE Online or Fenris channel now, but I have a link to it. It's in my videos.
We'll make sure to drop a link in the show notes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was the end of EVE Fanfest and
right.
In terms of like streaming and whatnot, there was the party for those, of course, that were there physically. But what a way to end it for you. And again, very, very happy. Congrats, and well deserved because of everything that you've done from the start.
Special shout out to the literally hundreds of people who have, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Blue Sky, through Discord, every other way you could possibly communicate with somebody at this day and age, of sending me notes and welcomes and thank yous and little stories about piece of art that I did for you. Or, I mean, one guy on Facebook was he just, the guy who got me into EVE in the first place, and or I've been following Rixx since he did that ad for me in Eon magazine, back in the day. That's just incredible. Thank you all for reaching out, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just wanted to get that a special shout out to tonight.
Absolutely. If I had that, like a console with a button with applause,
right,
rounds of applause, You need to include that when you're going to edit it, but absolutely, well deserved, my friend.
This is from the very beginning when I was reading Rock's blog and your blog, and I'll tell you this: of one of the funniest things was you held a contest it was a screenshot contest. I had just done the thing. I wrote I did a video on it on stealing a Titan, taking screenshots of me inside of a POS shield up against an Avatar Titan. It was the first Titan I'd ever seen in the game. I had broken into the shields of a POS and taken some screenshots of it. And I won that contest using one of those screenshots. That's how far back this stuff goes. It's just
now I'm going to have to look that up on my blog, man.
Yeah.
Holy.
That was around the same time I won a contest on Battle Clinic. If you remember Battle Clinic.
Yeah. Are they still around?
No, they went out of business a while back. But they had run a contest. I can't remember what it was for, but I do remember my entry was we carved a pumpkin that said Rixx is in local, and that won the contest.
Wow.
So that's probably like 2008, 2009.
We go back a long way, my friend.
We do.
So let's
Fanfest.
Step back. I mean, this was about, this was Fanfest, but let's just take a couple of step back.
Yeah, so let me tell me what you think, just your overall opinion of after the end of it. I mean, how did it go?
Well, it was very much better produced than I remember. You have to think that the first time I was at Fanfest was 2008. My son wasn't even born back then. Crazy. And then 2011, and both times were at the like sports center. I don't know what it's called, but it wasn't the Harpa. So a much smaller venue for Fanfest. And it seemed, I don't know when was the first Fanfest, probably 2005, I guess, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It felt impressive and yet very humble in terms of a venue, whereas this was in a league of its own with with the Twitch channel, and in between the sessions you had hosts that were talking about what had just happened and whatnot. The amount of content, future developments, the amount of games. Way back then, it was just EVE Online. There wasn't EVE Vanguard or Frontier. Or didn't talk much about the mobile game at this Fanfest, but that wasn't even around. So very much smaller sort of scope of content, production level. The amount. I mean, honestly, I was trying to think of, putting some notes together for our episode tonight, I was thinking, okay, there's way too much stuff for me to sort of put on paper, and I need to go back and watch. And that's the good thing. I'm gonna, like the 2 days are available on Twitch, and I'm gonna skip through the parts that I want to dive back into. I'm coming. Let's put it this way. I just purchased my ticket for 2027.
Nice.
I came out, really pumped about this. The one thing that you can't really understand and have the vibe for is what happens outside of those sessions. What happens when, with your fellow capsuleers,
right.
Some of them are corp mates, or you're part of the same alliance, or they've been following way back then, blogs were the thing. Twitch didn't exist, and you didn't do streaming and whatnot. And, you'd cross path with someone that would recognize you or see your name on your badge and go, oh my God, it's you. Da, da, da. And then you'd start sharing ideas, and, you'd put a face to a name and that sort of thing. And then you'd go out for, a beer, and all of that isn't there. So that's sort of a good part of why I'm going back, because I want to rekindle with that aspect of it.
But that's the heart and soul of Fanfest.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was it for me. My FanFest time goes back 2011, so that's like 15 years ago. So it's almost like a different time, a different universe. You've been there as of last year, and you've been there for a number of FanFest. So have you? What sort of progression? You've mentioned that it's much more sort of professional and polished and that sort of thing. Is there still that sort of original vibe to it? Tell me what you.
It was weird because, it's a little strange being home watching it on the stream, because, like you said, for me, a lot of the stuff that I got to see on the stream, I never get to see when I'm there. So I have to come home, like the next weekend or the next nights spend catching up on everything on the streams, because when you're there, I'm always so busy. I have things going on. I have my own presentation to do, or, I have meetings to have, or you're just, you're hanging out with your corp or your alliance, or, there's just a lot. So you miss a lot of presentations. You try to go to as many as you can. You try to go to the opening ceremony. The only presentation that I always go to that I've never missed is the art presentation on Saturday mornings. I always go to that and throw my support behind the art team. Go art team.
Go.
Because they're my favorite people. So it was a little weird watching it, because I got to see everything. It was bizarre.
Yeah. Is it the same? And sorry to interrupt you, but I just had a thought. Back in the day, there were the main sessions, but there were, during some of the lesser sessions, there were like panels at the same time. So you had to pick you went to. Was it similar in the last few years like that, or was it just, like one session and that was it?
So I don't know, because I wasn't there, but part of the thing too is that there were sessions on Wednesdays and they weren't streamed. And I don't know if they did that this year or not, because obviously they weren't streamed, so we wouldn't know. But if you're there were player presentations and things on Wednesdays too that weren't on the stream. So I'm not sure if they did that this year, or if they didn't do it.
And Thursday as well, because I thought it was like 3 days.
Well, yeah, there's certain, like, multiple tracks, but I'm not sure if that was going on this year or not. I was a little confused by that. Being home and watching it on the stream is a whole different thing than when you're there, Yeah. And so I don't know if there's multiple tracks or not. There always have been in the past. Like, some people's presentations would get recorded and be on YouTube later, but they wouldn't be streamed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's the sort of the main hall that
gets all the attention, right?
That gets streamed, exactly.
But, Joe's presentation about how to build an alliance, in 2026 doesn't get streamed, but it does get recorded and will be released on YouTube.
Yeah. Or, CK's guide to building that thing that's called a blog that used to be done.
Well, I think my presentation last year, my presentation last year about the art of the board game, I don't think it wasn't streamed, but it's up on YouTube now. You can watch it.
So that's for the overall sort of experience of watching it on streamed, and we're lucky in the sense that we're East Coast, North America, East Coast. So
right.
Like the timing is good. We can, or isn't too bad. I think they started at 6 a.m. our time and ended
Yeah.
some 1 or 2 p.m., something like
it's
that.
like around 12 Iceland time and around 6 p.m. Iceland time. So yeah.
Yeah, which gave us a chance to sort of like watch most of them. But as I said, I'm gonna go back to rewatch and take it all in. What would be sort of the highlight or highlights? Let's put aside Polaris for a second here. What would be your main takeaways from FanFest this year?
Well, I know a lot from what I've seen and I've heard on Reddit and watching the chat on Twitch. I think a lot of people are kind of blah about it. And I can understand that because this isn't, and I was thinking about this a lot because, some of the ones I've went to were a big show, right? And the opening ceremony was a huge trailer and everybody get pumped up and excited about it. And they don't really do that anymore because you're not really, I mean, you're not introducing wormholes or the Triglavian War or something big. It's really not like that anymore. We're just introducing another expansion. So it's a little bit less epic.
Then again, it might be about in some of the content. A lot of it is the sort of the mechanics of the game,
Right?
that
Right.
they're trying to tweak, and it's not as shiny new toy,
Groundbreaking or new. We already introduced Titans. We already introduced wormholes. We already introduced faction warfare. You can't just introduce new things every year because then, God knows there's plenty of things that they haven't really dealt with that were introduced, like wormholes or Zarzak or a lot of other things that need some attention that aren't getting it. So but I mean, also I think part of that though is also not being there. Watching it on stream is great, but it's not. So much of FanFest is just bumping into people and having conversations and getting hugs and seeing people you haven't seen in years, or there's so much of it is just people, and you don't get that on the stream at all, because you're not there.
Yeah, and because that would probably also be boring if we were to watch people, meet, smile, hug each other.
I know Crashnet was trying to do it. He was wandering around and trying to get people to talk to him, but Eve nerds are notoriously camera shy too, so that doesn't help. They're a bunch of antisocial people with anxieties and ADHD for the most part, so it's tough.
Probably if, like end of Saturday night or early on Sunday morning, if he would have done the same thing, he might have had a lot more interesting content and people that were, opened up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, even when I'm there, Crazy, I can see somebody 20 feet away staring at me, know they want to come over and talk, but they're too shy, right? So my personality is, I see that, I will go straight over to them and go, "Hello, I'm Rixx Javix, and who are you? And let's talk."
Yeah.
And because if I don't do it, they're not going to. But
and that would be a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I don't want them to go home and think they missed a chance, or something. I don't know. Not that I'm anything special, but I know what it means to people, and you have to understand that and own it, and then express it and help them. Yeah. And I try to do that as much as I possibly can. But I thought it was fine. I think the big takeaway, FanFest continues to get more professional and better produced and a little corporate-y as time goes on, but that's just natural. That's evolution, right? It's not a seat of your pants operation like it was in 2005. Everybody's growing up and it's becoming a larger corporate interest. That's just natural. And there's more games to talk about. There's more stuff to talk about. Also, the community itself has gotten more professional and better produced. We didn't have Twitch streamers back then. We didn't have a lot of the productions for Alliance Tournament stuff. It was third-party people doing it because, CC or Fenris couldn't do it themselves,
Because they didn't have the people to do that.
They didn't have the,
Having said that, I'll be honest, I still saw and enjoyed that sort of very geeky sort of aspect to it, and having a lot of
Absolutely.
fun, and
Yep.
like corp mates getting together, and that sort of rapport between the developers
Yes.
and the players, and how the interactions with the audience, and some of the smirks or heckling that happen, friendly heckling that would happen, and the snapback of a dev. There was still a lot of that, more than I
Yeah,
would
it
have
was awesome.
expected, and
Yeah,
that was great.
it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And during the Creators Award, I think FC Convict did a beautiful job. I mean, he was, top of his game. He was
Oh, he's so
relaxed.
good.
Well, he seemed relaxed. I think he got more and more relaxed every time he mentioned CCP, for that matter. But no, I mean, I really really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's super good.
I
I thought the hosts were perfect. They did a good job. Erst and Loru and gosh, I'm good. And Toxic and Oz.
was, yeah.
They're awesome. They did a great job. Shout out to those guys. They really did a good job of keeping the banter going and being entertaining and talking about what was going on. I thought they were awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they were, and funny to see, two Germans speaking in English trying to,
Yeah, doing the best they could. They were
banter.
doing great.
I know, and they did an amazing job. And speaking of Oz, I mean, his presentation was fascinating. Lots of perspective and lots of knowledge on the economy and the
Yeah,
markets and whatnot. So that was very interesting. I think that was the first,
I think
or one
so.
of the first sort of sessions that I watched. What do you think? What are your thoughts on Cradle of War?
I am personally very excited about it. I think that anything that we can do, I know a lot of people say that because I am low sec focused and factional warfare is a low sec primary thing, but it really goes beyond that. It's not that I just want players to be more involved, tied to the game. Some of the things that I saw with the new hubs and the new campaigns and the empire focus between the four empires. And I think that this is, when you connect that to what's going on with Exordium and Manifest and the new air stations, and I was very encouraged by some of the things I heard about what was going on there. I think this new system is a really great thing. Get new players into the game, to get them and not fearful, and give them enough time to find out what it is that they would like to do, and then let them commit to doing it.
Yeah, it's finding that right balance of,
Right.
hand holding, but without too much hand holding, where at one point you just have to, okay, I've been sort of pushed into this direction. I've chosen my faction, and I have, X, Y, and Z to complete. Let's go. Let's do this. And then you're sort of, out there and you're doing it. I think that's a balance that they're trying to reach, where the more they can get. I mean, it's not even newbies or new bros, as we say today,
Right.
these days, but it's also, players that have been in game soloing, doing a lot of the PvE, trying to get into this PvP thing and not sure how to go about it and whatnot. And that's sort of a vehicle for quote unquote experienced players to
Right.
get into that side of the game if they've been wanting to, or they just, at least cross that off their checklist to say, I've tried it, I hate it, or I tried it, and Jesus, this is amazing. I love this. This is a whole side of the game that I wasn't familiar with. I, read about it. I wanted to get into it, and now, hell, I'm in it. So that's. I think that they're going about it the right way. Does that change any of the sort of the not the mechanics, but purpose and the way that you within Stay Frosty and your corp mates, your prior corp mates, does that change anything for you? Does that up the ante? Does that give you more opportunities, less opportunities?
But I think that we're fine. I don't think it's going to bother us a whole lot. I did watch the expansion talk again today, just to refresh my memory, because I feel like I lost a little bit of it yesterday. So we do have some new plexes and new ships, and Navy destroyers is great. I got to look at the stats because I couldn't see them really on the stream. So
Like
I'm
8 new
excited
ships,
about,
I think, right?
interceptor only Plex. That's pretty cool. Solo Plex is cool. The battle cruiser only one. That's pretty neat. There's a lot to really be excited about. I think. I don't think it's going to change a lot. If it makes it more active, and more engaged, then that's good for us.
Yeah, maybe
More people.
maybe not, in the early days, but maybe eventually is going to be more experienced, players within the PvP side of things. That's going to make your life a little more challenging, but probably a little more rewarding when it happens, right?
I know it's counterintuitive, but one of the things I'm most excited about is that maybe Exordium will remove the stupid stuff that new bros do because they're just so excited and so anxious to make so much ISK that they do the dumbest stuff, and we always catch them doing it, and then they get mad at us for doing it. So maybe Exordium will teach them a little bit better, and when they come out into our world, maybe they'll be a little bit better prepared for it.
Yeah, and make it a more worthwhile challenge for you guys, because I'm
Absolutely.
thinking if you're always catching quote unquote newbies or new bros that have no clue, and within a couple of seconds the fight's over, and then you've got a disgruntled unhappy capsuleer.
Yeah, we're not. It's not like we're picking on new bros. What it really is, and meaning to write a blog post about this, but is mistakes. If you're doing everything you're right, we shouldn't be able to catch you. It really is when you make an error or do something you're not supposed to be doing, or mess up somehow, or you go AFK and you leave your ship at the sun, that kind of stuff. You're autopiloting.
It's not as if none of us or any of us have done been AFK while mining.
Oh, I lost I just bought a new Tholos after my other one got blown up, and they're not cheap. They're expensive. I think it was 650 million ISK or something. I had somebody bring it down for me, 4G, so I had to pay him too. That was very kind of him, and fully fitted. I just went out, I killed somebody in it, and then I was warping to a site and I was cloaked. And just at that moment, something happened out in the kitchen and I had to get up from my computer. I come back and I'm dead. The rats, they point you, and they shot me and killed me. I got decloaked and they shot and killed me. And I lost my Tholos to an NPC. How embarrassing is that?
Oh my God.
But there it is. And it's just that newer players make mistakes more often is what it really comes down to. Experienced players make mistakes less often.
So hopefully that will up
help
the,
that.
it'll
help
the experience level of those new bros. So
I want to share a very, very funny story that actually happened today. I logged on to Eve to catch up, do a couple things, do some house cleaning, and I did manage to get out and do a fight, which will be short tomorrow. Something funny happened in Corp chat, so I want to share that with you. It's a funny new bro story.
All ears.
Okay, so earlier today when I wasn't on, one of our pilots tried to catch a guy who was flying a Pioneer in a belt who was mining. New player, about a month old.
Okay.
He actually got away, which is, kudos to him. And the Stay Frosty pilot and him were talking. So, and I'm going to remove a lot of stuff from this story, just to make it simple. They were talking. The miner said that one of his goals in the game was to get a special ship, a special mining ship that would help make more money for him and his friend who were trying to start their own corporation. Long story short, the Stay Frosty pilot gave him 60 million ISK to buy that ship.
Nice.
Out of the kindness of his heart, right? So while I'm on, one of my Stay Frosty pilots blew him up in that ship. He had it for an hour. So he posted the kill mail. Posted the kill mail, and the other guy goes, "Hey, wait a second. I bought that ship for that guy." So then the whole story got told, in the log chats and all that. And I'm just like, this is just classic Eve. We tried to do the right thing, and we ended up blowing him up for it. So I just think that's a great Eve story in a nutshell.
And was it because of something like more or less stupid that this player did again?
Well, he
or-
came back. Came back from Losec to mine in a belt. Oh, he had just been almost killed, and he came back to the same system.
Oh, I mean, he must have,
No.
told himself, I got hit by lightning. What are the chances of lightning
Right.
striking twice? Yeah. Well, there's somebody behind that lightning, dude.
The best part is that he told the guy who blew him up that you're going to regret this. I'm coming back for you. I love when they do that, but so it's just classic.
Your guy will
Eve.
be there. Yeah, beautiful.
He'll never come back. Nobody ever does. Sadly, we wait for them to come back, but they never do. Otherwise, new ships always fun. I thought the art department's presentation was great. I just love watching all the changes that are coming. They do such a great job. The art department is amazing. Eve is so beautiful now.
It was. Well, here's the thing, and this is a topic that I want to,
Sure.
I really, it's dear to me because pre 2000, 1999, I'm thinking,
right.
maybe 98, these weird genetically modified images of humans, these weird ships with lots of spikes,
right.
like weird shit, folks. Okay, I mean nothing like we have now. Think of like a weird dream with if for those who've read the Hyperion and the Fall of Hyperion, so the Shrike,
sure.
all these spikes, so ships like that.
Yeah.
So the art is what caught me, and then the background and the game and the idea and what they were trying to do really caught my attention. That's what got me pulled.
Yeah, same here.
Eve, right? Yeah. And we tend to forget. A lot of players tend to forget because they love the mechanic. They love the, I have a ship, I go after you. We are a bunch of players. We go after you. We fight against each other. That's the fun of the game. But we sort of forget that the art department has a huge impact on pulling new players in because of what these guys do. And I need to know because again, I'm back since last fall, but there's these stations. Are there where there's an animation when you dock and undock? Are those the air station? Are those?
No, those are. Well, I think the ones you're talking about are citadels.
Oh,
so those are player built stations.
Gorgeous.
Yes. So if
that animation and you've got aura, or you've got like
so I highly recommend this if you want to see it yourself. There's a great place to go. You have to survive though, but go to Amamaki, which is in Mimitar Losec. There's a free port there. It's a keep star. So it's one of the few keep stars left in Eve that you can dock in, that you don't have to belong to the Alliance because most of them are in Nullsec. This is one in Amamaki Losec. It's still there. It's where we had our FFA. And dock up there and then undock and you'll get to see it all yourself. It's pretty awesome.
Amazing. When I first...
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
It's just like goosebump material, folks. Seriously.
It is.
Yeah. And then the whole presentation was fun and the teasing, like this might be where we're going. And then they start showing stuff and you get excited.
My gosh,
and then they go, let me remind you, this, there was a disclaimer at the beginning of our presentation.
Yeah.
This might not, be production.
The idea that your ship could show the modifications that you've added to it just blows me away. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, coming from a game where we couldn't even change the colors of our ships. Right.
Well, it's funny because you and I were watching, I'll let everybody know, we were watching on Friday together. I knew exactly what the first question was going to be. I got it right?
Yeah.
Because for years, the first question was always, when are we getting logos on ships? We got through that about 3 years ago. So now you can get your Alliance logo or your corporation logo on your ship. And I just knew what it was going to be this year. So that's just a funny thing.
That's experience speaking, my friend. You've
seen the pattern.
Too
many of these.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think that there's a little bit of, I wish that something big, I think everybody wants something big and super exciting that you can get excited about. And I don't know that I mean, maybe we're going to get that again someday. That would be nice. I remember sitting in Harpa when Valkyrie was announced, and not that that game was anything great, but the trailer was so emotional because somebody got in a spaceship, undocked, and flew into space and started blowing up ships, and it was just like, wow, just to see that, There have been other trailers, that I've been very emotional about, but that's been a few years now, since you get tied up like that. So I know that people miss that.
Yeah, but that's sort of a side effect, I think, of a game that is as old as EVE Online. As the game progresses, there's a whole slew of possibilities, and you start adding those puzzle pieces to the game. And at one point, very interesting, exciting, new stuff or content, or whether it be, player-owned stations or Titans or whatnot, there's a limit to what can be done.
Yeah, but you also have to think about new players too, though, and what is it you're doing that's going to hit the news, be written about in MORGs and, the press. What's the press going to be talking about? But how's that going to attract new players, right?
Yeah.
So there's a balance there, I think.
True, but I would tend to say that it might not be for the new players that these big things are that exciting. There's so much to do in EVE for a new player, and the more there is, the more it can seem overwhelming. Whereas a player who's been there for quite some time, he knows the game, he knows all the aspects, he's, the filaments and the wormholes and, whatnot, that they are the ones that are that much more sort of triggered in a good way by big new, shiny things that that they can play with. I think it's probably more them than the new player, which leads me to talk about and to sort of get your, brief feedback or comments on Vanguard.
Sure.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it's finally starting to feel like a real game. I mean, I played it, gosh, when was this? 2 years ago? 3 years ago now. Early. They did the, and I may even get confused with Project Legion, because I know there was a Vegas or a Fanfest that had a Project Legion demo that we played on the deck of a carrier, which was pretty awesome. And that may not even have been Vanguard. So it starts to run together. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a first-person shooter guy.
Neither am I.
That's not my favorite game style. I would much rather sit down and play an RTS or something, but which I still think an EVE Online real-time strategy game would be amazing, like in a Civ 4 kind of way, or a Command and Conquer, EVE Empires.
Yeah, but that would be something that wouldn't be part of the existing universe, whereas Vanguard is like really meshed, and I think that's where some EVE Online players are, because I was looking at the comments on Twitch while watching the session, and a lot of players don't necessarily get it, because somebody was saying something to the effect of, so you want to build an FPS EVE themed so that you can bring FPS players to play internet
a non-FPS game, right?
Yeah, and I was like, that ain't the thing, dude.
No,
they're not trying to make EVE Online players EVE Vanguard players. They're trying to bring a whole new crowd that plays
other types of gamers. Yes,
yeah,
to play Vanguard.
Exactly. And so their goal is to attract, and maybe there's an overlap. There is. I know a few EVE Online players that do play, FPS, and
there's some overlap.
Enjoy it. Yeah, there is. But you get it, and as you've mentioned, it's coming closer to its own thing, which
Yes.
is sort of the
And I
bonus
think
of it.
they learned a lot from Dust.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
people miss Dust, and I did play Dust, and I thought it was awesome too. But CCP at the time was trying way too hard
Oh,
to
nice one.
CCP at the time, right?
Yes.
I've thought about this. I'm going to start calling it that. Legacy CCP. CCP at the time tried too hard to connect the two things. So in Eve, we were supposed to be able to bombard planets while people were playing Dust 14, and they'd be able to see the bombardments come down onto their planet, and all that. There was more to it than that. I remember going on a test op with a bunch of people, and we shot at a planet. We did bombardments on a planet, and on the test server or somewhere, I don't remember all the details, but they were trying really hard to connect the two things. And I think they learned their lesson. I hope they did. I don't think the Vanguard's really intended to. I don't think they care if the people in Vanguard know what the Eve players are doing. And I don't think the Eve players really care what the Vanguard players are doing so much as we're all in the same universe. It's one New Eden, but there's multiple ways of playing in that universe. I think that is the smart way to go.
Yeah, that's the ecosystem that they're trying to build. Where, as you said, as long as you're having fun playing Eve Vanguard, like
Right.
the setting, the visuals, the mechanics of the game, what makes it unique, and that gets you in the game, and then you sort
Right.
of
It's a big universe.
Realize that it's tied to this MMORPG that's been running for a quarter of a century. And the other big thing about the difference between Vanguard and Dust 514 is the fact that Dust was strictly PlayStation,
Right.
whereas
It was a platform
Vanguard,
problem. Yes.
yeah, exactly. It was a very small subset of players. I never knew or learned what was the meaning behind Dust 514. Did you? Like, why Dust 514?
Oh, I remember, but I can't remember. Thanks for pulling that one up. There is a reason, and I should know it, and I just can't remember. Somebody's going to be yelling at us in the comments. If you can remember, put the comments.
Yell, but tell us. Yeah.
Tell us. Yeah, please remind me. I'm sure I could look it up. But
yeah, because I do remember at one point one of the devs sort of like wink, wink. You do get it. Why it's called Dust 514, and I was like, not at all, and couldn't find anything on the web, and I probably could search for it right now. But yeah, if one of our listeners knows the answer to that one and has a bit of background information, would love to know more about that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think it's July. There's an alpha playtest, July 7th to the 20th. On Steam or via the Eve launcher, so I'll definitely have a look, see what it's all about, just to get a feel for it, and maybe some flashbacks from Dust 514 on my PlayStation 2.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I might try it. I have played some of the test things in the past for it. So from what I've seen, it looks very impressive.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it does.
Very harsh way of getting off planet, but hey, it's the Eve universe. Speaking of other Eve games, what are your thoughts on Eve Frontier? I know that you haven't played it, or you've played early versions of it.
I did. I was involved in the early days in the alpha, and it's just too much like Eve for me. I'm an Eve player, and I always will be. And if I'm playing that, then I'm thinking, why aren't I using my time to play Eve?
Yeah.
It just feels
to
weird.
me, it feels a lot like a test bed for
new technology.
New technology that could eventually be applied, integrated with in EVE Online itself.
Well, I think the premise is kind of cool. It's more of a space survival game than it is
for sure.
MMO, and I think the idea of it being thousands of years from now, from our time in New Eden, and that a lot of the stuff that we have now is ancient ruins to these guys is pretty cool. It's very atmospheric and very oppressively dark. And I do think the idea of being able to write mods that immediately go into the game development itself, having the code be open source and being able to, that's very intriguing.
Oh, that's very, absolutely. It's out there. It's way out there.
There's a lot of cool stuff about it, but sure. I'm not a modder and I'm not a coder, so.
Yeah, and there's too much fun. There's too much to do in EVE Online per se.
It really is. Yeah.
So maybe it's attracting a different crowd as well. Maybe there's a couple of EVE Online players that are having a look at it and whatnot. One thing that we didn't talk about and was actually the big thing, or the one that was sort of advertised, was the Google DeepMind and that little fireside chat with Helmar and
you did such a good blog post about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there wasn't much for us to sort of chew on, right? A lot of it was just.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that it assuaged all my fears because it was boring, and I think that was exactly the right tone to take for everyone involved. It seems like it is strictly a research thing, and that's awesome. And that, maybe 3 to 5 years from now, something good might come of it. But for now, I think they just want to play around in EVE and let their AI run some alliances and see how it does,
And I guess for Fenris and Helmar, it's good visibility, good marketing to be sitting down with the CEO
attaching themselves to Google. Not the worst thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And he has a panache for that. His whole VR exercises in the past, virtual reality was all funded by Sony. And so if he can find another partner that's going to help fund EVE, then so much the better, right? So kudos to Elmar for always seeming to land on his feet like that. I think it's great.
Yeah. He started as a CTO, right? If I recall correctly, he's a tech guy first and foremost, and then eventually became CEO. So he's got that flair. And I mean, I guess you're right in the sense that this relationship is way too early in the relationship between DeepMind and Fenris to sort of hint at what they want to do, can do, or what they could promise this could be. So it was more of here's what's been done in the past. Interesting that Helmar would say, we'll talk about chess and Go in the sense that everybody was afraid that because chess got beaten by AI, people would stop playing it, and more people are playing chess than ever before, and the same for Go. Yeah. So maybe he's thinking, hey, if this this visibility gets us more players, increases that the size of that funnel, maybe that's going to be a good thing.
It does elevate EVE just from connection, right? I mean, Google thought enough of EVE to do this and to invest in it, so that must mean something, right? I mean, it must be worthwhile. It puts another validation point to it, I think.
True, absolutely.
This is a very unique thing. There is nothing else like it. And I think the more people who know about that, the better. Fenris doesn't do a great job of marketing. They do okay. I'm not complaining about it, but especially here in the United States, I don't think it's as well known as it should be.
Oh, it's more unknown than known, even in the gaming circle. I mean, you talk to fellow gamers that play other types of games, and you tell them about EVE, and you might have come across an article about some scam,
or some
years
big
ago
war or something, right?
Yeah, but this, when you tell them, well, you could do that, and in this game you could do this, and there's some players who actually don't even do this, but they do that, and there's economists, and I mean, like there's all these things, and they go, what? They like, how come I've never heard of this and whatnot?
Yeah, yeah. Gosh knows I've run into plenty of that. So
Absolutely.
I think that
Yeah.
if it does that, then so much the better. And having Google involved is not the worst thing. I mean, their track record is not the best as far as gaming goes, but they're looking at it from a deep mind perspective, and I think that that's okay. I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not crazy about AI either. I just, what choice do we have? We're just people. I don't have a choice. This thing's out of control.
But there's a lot that, as I mentioned in my blog post, there's a lot that could be done to make the game, or some aspects of the game and some mechanics of the game, that much better. Currently NPCs, your mission agents, various pirate factions, they're just running a script where that's what they, it's pre-programmed. You'll go through the motions once. If you do it again, it'll be the same thing over and over and over again. They don't learn from what the dynamics of the game, the ship that you have, the tactics that you're using. And if this sort of research could eventually sprinkle some of that intelligence in these NPCs, I think that would make the game that much more interesting.
Funny you bring that up, because it was one thing that I was kind of disappointed in Hilmar about, and I would say this to him too, because Adrian asked him, what if the AI learned how to win Eve? And I don't remember what Hilmar's response was, but what he should have said was, that's okay, because you can't win. It's not a game like that. There really is no way to win Eve. So
there's
good luck to the
game.
AI. Right, there's no end game, so good luck to the AI.
Yeah. Anyways, that to me is an interesting possibility, and there are others that we can, that I've sort of outlined in my blog post. But we'll see what the future holds, and if there's anything that's going to come out of this relationship. But interesting times for sure.
So 514 was a nod to the developers in Shanghai, corresponded to an auspicious date, and a play on the phrase, I don't want to die, which was a reference to the soldier's immortality. So that's where 514 came from.
Well, there you go.
I asked Google about it.
Google
while
AI.
we're talking. Yeah.
About Google AI.
Yeah. Anyway, so overall I was positive. I came out positive about it. It's hard to be negative. Everybody was so enthusiastic, and so, I mean, a lot of work went into this. Obviously, there's a lot of detail that I would have to sink my teeth into once it gets here. A lot of this stuff that they talked about, changes to Exordium, to the connections to the empires, to the way that they're trying to get the empires to be more dynamic and more personality based, really try to bring the Glinty to life, the Mimitar, the Caldari, the Amar.
I think between them. Yeah.
I think that's all great. Couldn't support that more. I think that all of that is good. And I think wars, NPCs fighting NPCs is great. The Exordium is a very potentially great opportunity. I hope that it goes well. I hope it works, because obviously I want more people playing. And so I think there's a lot of that. I think a lot of what is just the proof is in the pudding, right? So, and the expansion's not until June, so that's a bit of a wait and see. And so I think that's where some of that just comes from. It's like there's nothing really to sink your teeth into, as much as it's not like we're introducing this to the game. It's more of, here's this whole new system, and just kind of trust us it's going to work. None of us know enough details to be able to make kind of a judgment call on it.
You're talking about Exordium here, right?
Yeah, Exordium and some of the new Empire stuff. There's like whole new systems for dealing with it, achievements and titles, and there's a whole new hub that you go to see how your empire is doing, and there's progress for you, progress for the other guys, and there just seemed to be a lot of stuff you just got to sink your teeth into and see how it works, instead of just being told that this is going to be great and it's going to work.
Yeah.
So it's just going to have
it's
to play out.
Absolutely. Agreed. And, this is the first chapter in their, I think it's 3 expansion arc.
Yeah. It's a 3 arc expansion. So
Cradle of War saga. So it'll be interesting to see. And when it comes to Exordium, I mean, the one thing that's in it that's sort of safe for the rest of New Eden is that it's a separate area. So, whatever they do in there is going to have relatively low
apparently
impact on
we can all
New
just
Eden.
come and go as we please, though. We just can't do anything when we're there. So I thought that was an interesting way to deal with the whole idea of keeping dangerous criminals out, is that, feel free to visit, but you can't do anything. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. It's sort of.
Oh, did you catch the other thing, which I thought was interesting, is that they may be putting off the choice of your race? I thought that was an interesting. I heard that in one of the talks, and I can't remember which, but like you might not have to pick your race right off the bat. You might be able to wait to do that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, make the choices less a little bit sort of overwhelming. Or
I wish we'd have had that choice when I did.
Yeah,
I picked Caldari out of just randomly. No thought whatsoever.
Yeah, initially my first character was Galante, and now
is that because you're French?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Makes
so.
sense.
Trinira Mazouk. Hey boy,
almost all the French people I've known in Eve have been Galante.
Yeah, there's something about that. But then I went Caldari, and I hate Galantes now. So funny how that goes.
I don't know if it's true anymore, but it used to be one of those things you just took for granted, was that Caldari was like vastly the highest percentage of new players picked Caldari. I don't know if that's still true or not.
Maybe because of the military sort of aspect of it.
Maybe, or maybe
just
getting
into a game of PvP.
Right.
Yeah, and there might be more role players that have Amari characters, I guess.
Right. Yes, it does seem to be that way. Right. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm cautiously. People are going to get tired of me saying cautiously optimistic, but that's the way I am. So we'll just have to wait and see.
The game. That's what gets a game like EVE Online to be this old and to continue and to prosper and explore sort of new concepts, new ideas, is by being cautiously optimistic. They try things. Some things work, some things don't. But yeah, there's a lot of there's a bit of everything for everyone here. For new players. And I thought the presentation on Exordium they were well more advanced than I thought they would in terms of thinking through the process of onboarding them. Very impressed with that.
Yes.
Vanguard is well on its way to be a solid game.
Yeah.
I'm still scratching my head for Frontier, but I may not be. I came back.
The target audience.
I came back to the game for the community of EVE Online, not to be in a survivalist by myself,
right.
Scratching my head as to what the hell am I doing, and having this feeling of every time I log into EVE Frontier, I have it sort of becomes claustrophobic, and as if I can't see everything. And I'm it's very.
I also have a question. I'm a player in Frontier.
Okay.
And people are, let's just say I am, and I'm tooling along and things are the way they are. And then some idiot mods the game in a certain way that I don't have a clue that he's doing it. And suddenly, like, this part of the game is completely different now. I when I say you can mod the game and everybody goes, "Ooh, that's pretty cool." There's another side to that, is maybe it's not cool for everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I can only imagine if we could do that in EVE. Like suddenly, this one player down in Geminate gets like 1,400 Titans. Maybe that's not the best thing. I don't know, because he modded the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this goes.
We'll see.
This is going to be a busy summer. Lots of stuff coming out.
I'm excited about it. It's pretty cool.
Likewise.
As a Polaris Award winner, I say that this FanFest I give a thumbs up.
And I give it two thumbs up. One for this FanFest, and one for getting me to
go to another one. Yeah,
cool. There you go. So back in Iceland next year.
All right. So I thought about this. I'm going to start saying something about the song that's coming up because people tend to really like the song. So I was going to go in a completely different direction this week or this podcast, but because of FanFest and the focus on factional warfare, the upcoming song at the end of this one's going to be about that instead. So you have to wait for the weird one next time.
I am curious. Yeah, I don't know what this is. This is great. This is a surprise for me as well. I'm going to have to listen to.
Right, you don't know what's coming up either. So
I don't.
I think it's hysterical. I just started to throw them on the end because I thought that was kind of a weird thing to do. But now it seems like a lot of people are look forward to those every time. So it's pretty cool.
I've enjoyed them.
All right, awesome. So. All right, well, take care, and we'll leave links in the descriptions for some of the things we talked about today. Please check out Crazy's blog. His link will be there. You're always welcome to join me on Evaganda or my Discord channel, but also YouTube. And this will be up on Tuesday. On YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. And we appreciate you all listening. Take care and fly safe.
Fly safe, my friends.
Check the name on the hull.
No fight!
Yeah. We notice. Hit it. Hit it. Slide into the plex, lights down low. Overview flash, there you go. Ship name Brave, heart name Nope. You hit that gate like it's a rope. Timer ticking, range looking tight. You lock eyes, then walk out of sight. Brother, if fear was Plex, you don't cheat about the end of this. You aligned before I said hello. Velocity's high, but your pride's real low. You brought a ship, but you forgot the spine. That ain't FWO, that's cardio time. No fight, just fight. Hit that button, vanish in the night. No fight, all show. Name the ship Brave, but you gotta go. Funk don't chase, funk don't beg. We dance while you burn that warp out leg. If running was skill, you'd be elite. But this Plex, baby, it's a dead end street. D-scan, twitching, hands all sweat. You don't even know if I'm a threat. Scrams loaded, beats on time, but you already crossed that finish line. Faction badge, militia dreams, turn into smoke and a line to green. You call it smart, you call it play, we call it cardio runaway. You ain't late, you ain't bold, you just allergic to losing control. If courage had mass, you be light. No fight, baby. No fight. No fight. Just fight. Legs and lights on, but you're gone from sight. No fight. All flee. You name the ship, but it ain't you see. Funk stays grid, funk stays mean. We loot the rest you never seen. You can keep the LP, keep the lie. We'll keep the groove and the kill mail high. Watch. Why you plexing? Not to die. Why you aligning? Heavy guy. What's that ship say? No fight. Then why you here on grid tonight? Don't need permission slips. We undock for the hips and the hits. If you're scared, that's cool. No shame. Just name the ship and join the game. No fight. Moonwalk out. We take the Plex while you bounce. No fight. Blink and flee. Low second cardio therapy. Funk don't warp. Funk don't. We break the beat, we take the gold, so rename that hull. Do us right, call it a line and pray tonight. Yeah. Low sec tip of the day. If you don't want to fight, that's fine. Just know one thing. The name ain't the game.